the technology guy to really screw up the technology part of this. But if you're watching, thanks for watching. This today, if you watch the previous video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a book that kind of hit me at a good time. It's this Russell Brunson's .com Secrets. And what this is going to be is a read-along series where I read it, I talk about it, you have questions, we kind of hopefully collaborate a little bit on, you know, the themes and concepts of the book, because I don't know if you do, but I do. I get lost sometimes in the application of the principles and really kind of understanding where and how to take it. So that's what this is all about. You know, this book hit me at a really good time because it's December 2018, end of the year, obviously, but this is about the time of the year where everybody's stressed to the max with the holidays, where, you know, us as a company at Swift, my team, we are stressed beyond all belief because everybody needs something this time of year. Everybody that we help that's an e-commerce store has something that they need to get done. They're stressed out because it's supposed to be their busy time of year, and you know, everybody's trying to get everything in under those budgets. So we're stressed to the max, but it's also a time that I use to, you know, get ready for the next year, kind of plan with what the direction is going to be for the company and how we're going to achieve our different goals. So this book in particular, this .com Secrets by Russell Brunson, like I said, it hit me at a good time. It came to me from somebody whose opinion I respect very much. But really, you know, it's honestly something that I crapped on the idea for so long and really said, you know, nobody uses that stuff. There's no way it works. It's used car salesman junk. Like, come on, really? So what this is it's almost a coming to Jesus for myself, but it's an accountability piece to keep reading the book and keep going through it and understanding the concepts, because I am notorious for picking a book up, reading just a little bit, and then putting it down no matter how good or bad it was. It's just a reading and a time thing. I'm more of a listener, but this one fortunately does not come in an audible form yet, I would assume. So the plan today was to go through the first 3 secrets, which I'll call them sections, the first 3 sections of the book, but I'm actually only going to go through 2, and the reasoning behind that is because I think the first 2 sections actually cover, really set the tone, or going to set the tone for the rest, and some things that we probably need to discuss and think about quite a bit before moving on, because I think, you know, if you're going to apply this for you, then there's going to be some things that he asks you to think about in the first 2 sections that you're going to use later on in the book, and probably some thought needs to be put to it. You need to really understand these 2 sections to get the best out of the book, I think. And I know for me, when I did it, because I'm doing this with my own business right now, when I did it, it not only led to, you know, scribbling on one sheet of paper, it actually led to me scribbling out what he said, redesigning the Swift website on paper at the moment, and then really going through and understanding some of the marketing pieces of it, like email workflows and things of that nature, and different social media strategies that we need to implement to fully leverage what he talks about. So what I'll do is I'll get into it right now. Again, the book is .com Secrets. There is a link in the description if you haven't checked it out yet. And I want to make a note. I am actually trying to broadcast this on both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I think it's coming through pretty good on Facebook, which is why I had my earpiece in to make sure it was picking up the audio. But I know on YouTube, click down in the bottom there, jack up the quality settings. I'm recording this in full 1080 and 4K really. So, but yeah, so I'll get into it. Right now, I got my whiteboard here. I told you about it last week. I am going to try to illustrate some of the concepts that are in the book if you don't have it, because like I said, some of this is super important. But you know, if you start, obviously there's a foreword written by Dan Kennedy, who is one of the so-called godfathers of digital marketing in today's age. What's nice is Russell himself does talk about in the beginning what this book is and what this book is not, right? And it's funny because he did start to address some of the concerns that I had in it, in that, this is not a BS, we're going to sell a bunch of stuff right away and this is how you're going to do it. He does say that it is some practical application type scenarios, and that's what he's going to walk it through. What I thought was funny is in the introduction in this book, he talks about his obsession with all those direct mail pieces that everybody, I'm sure everybody's familiar with it. If you go to your mailbox, if you're the one that gets the mail, then you probably know, you get it from real estate agents. When it's election season, you get direct mailers from all the candidates. But he talks about his obsession with direct mail pieces and how they were executed, right? Like, and there's a lot of pictures. The reason why this book is somewhat interesting is there's a lot of pictures in here that tell you about, different things that illustrate different processes and things that points he wants to get across. What I found funny is, he used to get all these direct mail pieces and supposedly used to keep it. I'm going to take the guy's word for it, but I find that kind of weird in the beginning. But the interesting part is how he talks about early on that marketers used to use classified ad space, like, that section in the back of the paper, or the section in the paper where it's, hey, make $500 now, learn how, call this number. They used to talk to somebody, they used to collect your information and then mail you more information that was then hey, pay $5 and get this free, or get this guide on how to do it. And they kept leading you up a value chain, of some sort of value chain of, this is how they can get money from you, but this is how they can give something back to you, a value that makes you want to keep going. So thought that was really interesting. Really like his old media versus new media. Again, another picture. I'll put it up here and hopefully the camera zooms. But really like his old media versus new media section. And it's true, right? It has the first step in this is the direct mail piece is now, the new direct mail is email. Look, I get 500 messages a day. A lot of it junk, a lot of it actionable stuff, but that's very true. I think I have talked to people where a sales method for them is to just do cold emails. They'll send out 10,000 emails a day, and they might get 3, 4, 5, 6 responses from that then turns into one customer. Not super efficient, but if you look at cost per acquisition, probably makes some sense. I'm not a fan. The new networking is Facebook, LinkedIn. That is super true. Not as much done in person anymore as much as it's done online, but still in person's a big deal. The new TV is YouTube. Couldn't agree more, right? Hence, recording this on YouTube and Facebook. But the new TV is YouTube because nobody wants to sit through the commercials. Something I recently heard that I thought was actually freaking amazing. It was from Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm sure a lot of people out there listen to him. I don't listen to him as much anymore, but I do like to pick up on some of the tidbits. And one of the things that Gary says is that you should make content as if you are the TV show and not the commercial. And we can pick that apart at a different time, and I think if you do, you'll find like some incredible value there, and some things that might change your thinking in regards to how you plan your content, how you create it, whether you're trying to sell more product, whether you are just creating content for the sake of creating it. There's a lot to unpack there, and something we'll cover different. The new radio is podcasts. Now, everybody's starting a podcast. It's super easy to do, but I would totally agree, because I can't tell you how many times I turn on the radio in my car, I hear the same songs on the same station. They play the same 10 songs. B, there's a commercial every time I turn it on, and probably 10-minute spans of commercials. And C, I can turn one station on, flip to another, and it's the same freaking song. So I think people are definitely going to podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Joe Rogan, Motley Fool, a lot of ones like that. And then the new newspaper is blogs. Definitely true. Online blogs, right? You find somebody you like, you find somebody whose opinion you respect, and you read them. Right? And you go to them over the Washington Post. I think you know, I could go into a long diatribe of how the news kind of sucks, and or for different reasons than what all the political yahoos talk about. But I think people are definitely looking for different sources of information. So we'll keep going. Here is a picture that I thought was amazing, right? And one thing that Russell talks about in just the first 10 pages of this book is you only see the tip of the iceberg, right? You only see the parts where it's, you know, there's this big, we'll call it a glacier, right? You got this big glacier, but you only see, people only see what's right there. You only see the beginning. You know, there's so much more going on below the water with some of these companies, and it's just, it's, you know, you got to really pick it apart. You got to really look at these things to understand, you know, what is everything that they're doing to want to persuade you to go to the next step. What is everything they're doing to keep you in the loop? What is everything they're doing to hit you at different times of the year, of the buying cycle, things like that. And to me, that's huge because, you know, we only see a little bit, but there's so much more. And from an entrepreneur's perspective, you know, people write every word that's on that website. People create that graphic that sold you. You know, these things don't just come together. And I think that's a huge thing in the community of when you're starting a business of like, hey, how do I do this? What is step 1? What is step 2? Well, look, it's step 1 through 50 is creation in a lot of parts of it. So next, let's see here as we go through. He definitely asks you to think about some things that. Well, let's get into it. So section 1, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the book here a little bit, just kind of go through these first 2 sections, and then I'm going to go through how I have applied it to myself, right? I'm going to go through kind of the actual implementation that I am using because I think that's where the most value comes from. So I'll show you exactly what I've scribbled out on my piece of paper, and, you know, if you got any questions, if you think I'm wrong, I'd love to hear it. So please, by all means, comment, leave a question, and I'll address it in the next video because I'm not answering questions live right now. So getting into it, section 1 or secret 1 that we're talking about today is the secret formula. And the pictures he's got here is the who, the where, the bait, and the result. And these are important because he talks about in this section, and these sections are super short. They're only, I think, 10 pages per section. So yeah, 15, yeah, not even. It's like 6-7 pages. But what's important in this first section is he wants you to answer a few questions. Question number 1 is, who is your dream client, right? This is a pretty popular question, not anything groundbreaking, right? But he does ask you to think about who is it that you want to sell to, or why do they need your services? Like, who is the person? What do they do? Where do you find them? And I think that's important because I know particularly in my business, we're a client service. You know, somebody comes to us, they need something built, we build it, we deliver it, and in a lot of cases, that's it. And I think what this does is, who is your dream client? It forces us in that service type business to say, who do I not want to work with? Who is that pain in the ass client that, you know, you're probably better off firing than working with, because they run the gamut. You could get ones that are a dream to work with that really the project's not worth a lot, or it is worth a lot. You can get the ones that are terrible to work with, but it could be worth a lot to your company. It could not be. But you need to find and establish what that line is, who that person is, and try to better focus on how to get to that person. So question 1 to ask yourself in this is, who is your dream client? So figure that out. And he goes, what do they look like? What are they passionate about? And then what are their goals, dreams, and desires? From a business perspective, from a personal perspective, how do you appeal to that person? Question 2, where can I find them, or where can you find them? This is the $1 million question in my mind of the 4 that he's going to lay out. Because look, I can tell you who it is all day, but if I can't find them, if I can't get to the right places to see those folks or get my information in front of them, it almost doesn't matter. Question 3, and this is going to be a lead into section 2, is what bait will you use to attract that person, that client. We don't often think about it, right? I know in our business, and again, talked about this in a little bit, it's here's what I'm selling, are you going to buy it? Right? It's not how do I get this person interested? What more is there to it? This could be something in your sales process, I think, or this could be a service you offer. This is the credibility building part of this that helps establish you in that person's mind as the expert or as somebody that they can rely on and trust. Because look, if there's anything, I've learned, it's people, and it's a common saying, is people do business with people they know, like, and trust, and you got to at least have 2 of those for sure. So what bait will you use to attract them? Number 4 is what result do you want to give them, right? So that's a different question in terms of how to sell yourself, how to sell your product, service, or business. If you're an e-commerce store, you could be saying right now, like, I sell products. The result is you come, you buy a product, and that's it, right? You're done. You enjoy that product. But I would actually challenge you to think of, how, when you get them there, like, is it just buy and leave? Or is it buy and nurture? Is it, hey, here's a free book on how to, or ebook we've put together on how to use that product? How do you keep in touch with that person? How do you nurse that? How do you make that person feel like they bought more value than what they paid for? And that's how ultimately that's how you get somebody to buy a product, right? So just to reiterate, who are your dream clients? Where can you find them? What bait will you use to attract them? And what result do you want to give them? So that's, he asks you those questions, but it's very important to know them because that's going to go into this here in a minute. And so that's the first secret, I guess, of understanding. Now, number 2, and I'll show you this because he's drawn it better than I can. But now we're going to talk about the value ladder, right? And this is what I'm going to walk you through in terms of what I have come up for Swift, my company, Swift Interactive. So, and I'll preface this by saying, why has this come up for me, or, what is the situation? And, look, like I said, we're a client services business. Like anything, like any business, we go through some very cyclical times of where things are really good and couldn't be better. And then there's where things are kind of bad and we don't have enough work to keep everybody busy, and what this is me trying to go through the effort of leveling that out a little bit, keeping it more predictable, and, keeping the company moving in the right way, because, those wild swings can cause some incredible stresses and incredible times of self-reflection that we're just looking to plane out. So I got a team of 5 that I'm responsible for, and love to keep those folks working, and I know they'll appreciate this. So what he goes through here, he goes through in secret number 2, he goes through the value ladder. He talks specifically about a time where he went to the dentist, and the dentist walked him through these different things, like, hey, your teeth are a little crooked. You need a retainer. Yeah, sure, give me a retainer. So he bought the retainer. Hey, your teeth, did you smoke? Do you drink coffee? Your teeth could be a little bit whiter. Do you want me to put together some whitening trays for you? And he says yes, and what turned into a visit maybe covered by a copay, he walks out spending almost $2,000. And essentially what he realizes is his dentist walked him through a value ladder that ultimately got him to the end, right? Which I'll show you this again because it's filled out. So you can see there, the dentist starts with the cleaning down at the bottom. He gets up to the whitening, and then ultimately cosmetic surgery, and then they get you on some sort of, I guess, recurring subscription plan so you can come in and get your monthly checkups. But all of that results in money, more revenue for the dentist at the different steps. So, that's what this chapter is about, or this secret is about, is understanding what your value ladder is. I'll just toss that to the side. I actually didn't bring an eraser, so we'll just use a different color, right? Because what I want to walk you through now, though, is I'm going to go through, it looks like crap. But anyway, I'll take you through what I have identified myself. Being a digital company, being a development company with development staff, I'm going to walk you through what we've come up with or what I've come up with on my end. It may not be 100% right, but going to kind of talk through maybe some of the application and some of the concept of why we think this is, or I think this might be a new way, a new direction for us to take based on what this chapter talks about. So first, I mean, obviously you've got along this line here, this is our value line. And then we're going to go this way, and this is our price. That's our price. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. I'll switch to black. We'll switch to black. So value, price, yeah, much better. So, and then ultimately we need to figure out what our steps are. Ultimately, we need to figure out what our steps are in the chain to take somebody from, you know, look, I'd be remiss if I wasn't upfront with the fact that, hey, there's a lot of people out there that build websites, build applications. Development is a big demand thing, but how do you set yourself apart, right? So what this is an exercise in how do we get somebody to understand us, to look at us as the experts. And I think one of our steps, something we can do that can be our bait or our giveaway, is utilizing YouTube and doing tutorials, right? There's a couple platforms that websites are built on. So we're going to say, I'm just going to put tutorials right here. So free website tutorials, how to fix problems, how to implement a map, WordPress tutorials, Shopify tutorials, just free stuff that we can put on our blog, on our social channels, and address some of those common issues that people are having, because there's millions of issues potentially that you could have with your website, but really there are certain few that cause more headaches than others that we can help people address. And if we can help people address those, I think that ultimately what we do is, then we become that expert of having helped somebody. So this is a free thing, right? So this is free for our customer or our potential customer. So they don't have to pay anything. They just got to find it, whether we send it out by email, use it in newsletter material. So now we're also generating promotional material. And then along with this, what we can do is drive free consultations, right? So as this book I think is going to get into with the sales funnel, is now that you've watched it, maybe you've taken another action, that we can now lead you to a landing page that says, hey, do you have a problem? Call us now for a free consultation. And this is our bait right here. That's our bait, our bait. The next step in our value ladder, value chain, and this is something we haven't really focused on, haven't dealt with a lot, and that's hosting. Website hosting in some regard,